Transformers 1 is a mess. I have never watched a movie with such blatant min-maxing of abilities. This movie was a 9 out of 10 for aesthetics and a fat 0 out of 10 for dialogue. I wish I was watching this in a language I only knew about 20% of, because I know 80% of this dialogue could be slashed and we would miss nothing. But before I get too caught up in my vortex of misery, let me praise this movie for how beautiful it looks. And a big warning for spoilers going forward, but trust me, you can go into this movie fully spoiled and still have a good time. Okay, I was pretty excited to watch this since I'm hyped to see any cartoon that doesn't resemble the Disney Pixar house style or the Grubhub ad. One surprising aspect of this movie was that all of the characters were very expressive and emotive. The animation director was able to find the perfect balance of where and how to exaggerate the character facial expressions. I could imagine a worse version of this movie having the characters look like Cats 2019 Robot Edition. I don't know how they did what they did, but I love it. My favorite visual aspect of this movie is how it establishes different settings and scenery that look unique, while still feeling like they all belong to the same universe. This is very difficult to pull off, but the film created a cohesive world that features a diverse range of environments. The film features numerous bold and memorable scenes, along with striking individual shots. Notably, the world exhibits an underlying consistency that is readily apparent to the audience despite its distinct and alien nature. For example, the train tracks dynamically generate to create pathways, and the mountains on the surface level resemble iron being drawn towards a magnet. These details contribute to a sense of vitality and richness that enhance the world, which made it such a delight to take in. But oh boy, were there a lot of big action scenes. Shit is just constantly happening, which makes it hard to actually breathe in the cool setting. Every scene is punctuated with a character yelling, "We gotta go, now!" And everyone is constantly butting in with their Marvel tier dialogue. There's a scene where the gang gets kidnapped, and the kidnappers duct tape Bumblebee's mouth shut. And the bad guys are all like, "He just wouldn't stop talking." And I'm like, okay, but nobody here ever stops talking. I get that Bumblebee is supposed to be the chatty one, but he's only like 2% worse than everyone else here. Don't get me wrong though, Bumblebee still sucks. When they do go to the surface, Bumblebee says something like, "Wow, I'm speechless." Are you, buddy? Are you really that speechless? Shut up and let me look at the cool Iron Mountains. And later, when they go in a spooky cave, Bumblebee gives us the second-by-second playthrough of how scary the cave is. Just why? Why can't the visuals tell us the story? This movie is unbelievably gorgeous, so it makes the spoon-fed emotional beats all the more frustrating. I can only imagine that at a test screening, one of the viewers was the world's biggest baby who strutted out of that theater like, "Heh, that cave scene wasn't scary at all." And the producer started sweating like, "Well, obviously we need to tell the people that they should be scared at this cave. Clearly we have failed if that scene doesn't make the world's biggest baby tremble in fear and curl out a fat log." I hate that they gave this role to Keegan-Michael Key because I fully and deeply love him. I watched Key and Peele during my formative years instead of SNL, which means it is the greatest sketch comedy of all time, and anyone who disagrees does not understand comedy. You put him or Jordan Peele in anything, and I'm immediately on board. I wish Jordan Peele was there so we could see the Bokeh and Tsukome act in this cool robot world, or if Jordan Peele's too busy, I mean, I've loved all of his movies, so it's fine if he's busy. We can just have Keegan-Michael Key live react to the scenes himself. Imagine if instead of corny Marvel dialogue, Bumblebee was written as the anger translator. That is a missed opportunity. One thing I am happy that we got with the movie's dialogue was the outrage over miners. That is, Optimus Prime and his buddies start the movie as workers in a mine. So when they sneak onto the big robot race, we got all of the higher-ups screaming and yelling because miners in my drag race? Ooh! As someone who fully believes in the sanctity of "you kids get off my lawn," I love this bit. If the dialogue kept going in this direction, I'd be on board. There was also a lot of colorful dialogue, and it felt surprisingly violent for a PG movie, which is very cool. This is one aspect of 80s culture I hope we can bring back. But there is a lot of strangeness in this movie's messaging. While you're making a movie that's part of a franchise, specifically a prequel, you're going to be beholden to certain rules and constraints. And one thing I did enjoy about this movie was that they were pretty clear with the message that the elites lie to you, your job is bullshit, and it exists to make the rich richer. It always warms my heart when I see explicitly anti-capitalist messaging in the media. But the overall message felt very pro-monarchist, I think. I will definitely get some details wrong since my only prior exposure to the Transformers franchise is watching Lindsay Ellis analyze the Michael Bay films back in 2017, but let me walk you through how I saw things play out in Transformers 1. Okay, so the Transformers used to be ruled by oligarchs. Then the main bad guy betrayed them and became king. But he's lying to the whole planet and secretly giving the bigger, badder aliens all of the energy that the robots mine. And when the Adventure Gang learns that their leader is bad, actually, everyone goes around the horn to clutch their pearls and express how outraged and betrayed that they feel. I get that what Kingbot did was shitty, but how are we supposed to know that what he's doing is not worse than the oligarchs? D, later known as Megatron, gets an oppositional defiant streak after his worldview is shattered. He's not taking orders from anyone. I understand that character development, but it cultivates to Megatron wanting to Minecraft Kingbot and assume power. And Optimus Prime is like, no, we can't. He makes the point that if we start the new regime with blood, that's no bueno. This is definitely one of the more interesting pacifist reasons to spare the bad guy. So Optimus Prime jumps in front of the bullet and seems to get the Disney villain ending, but after falling and falling, he sees the ghosts of the oligarchs who tell him, Optimus Prime, you're the most specialist and most noblest little robot, so you get to be king. They give him the Silver Millennium Crystal, and he rises up and he kicks Megatron's ass and assumes his place as ruler. Look, this whole movie was a lot of pointing fingers and saying, what those guys did was wrong, and then turning around and doing exactly what they just decried. You know how abusers were often abused themselves and they're trapped in a shitty mindset because that's all they know? It's that. It reminded me of that. This is a franchise prequel. Maybe these specific plot beats were all preordained, like Optimus Prime's right to the throne, and there wasn't much the movie could do about it, so I don't want to be too hard on it for that. But here's something I have no problem being critical of. The way it writes its black and female characters. Because Girlbot is terrible. I know strong female character in the modern day just means a chick who's constantly pushing and yelling, so this is far from the only piece of media guilty of this, but hey, I gotta calls this when I sees it. She sucks. You know the trend of men drawing women and we laugh and point at how bizarre these female characters look? At least in those cases with all of the gravity-defying jiggle physics and critiques of where are her organs. The horn dog artist is at least having fun drawing these funhouse mirror images of a human. And by the way, it is one of my goals as an artist to get reposted to that subreddit. I'm going to keep drawing goofier and goofier looking chicks until this Kokoro witch comes true. Alright, anyway, so I see Girlbot being such a killjoy, and I wonder, who is this for? Who is getting anything out of this other than the writers who can pat themselves on the back for writing a woman who isn't a damsel in distress? So I want to propose a new trope. One that I hope will inspire as much laughing and ridicule as men drawing women. Ahem. It's called men writing women who are afraid of being called non-feminist if they ever dare to write a lady who doesn't berate everyone like Valerie Solanas with a stick up her keister. Thank you. I'm still workshopping the title, but I figured I could sneak in the blueprint of my review of Transformers 1. But okay, dude, if strong female character just means writing women who are belligerent a-holes, we have to fight back if this trope isn't going away. And in all fairness, Girlbot isn't as bad as Mindy Kaling's Velma or any of the others on the Mount Rushmore of smug female characters. I know at this point in time, I'm a little more sensitive to this trope. I'm coming down hot from the rage of writing a 20k word review of Apple Black Oranges, which takes a gold medal in writing female protagonists as constantly scowling. And that's all she does, is scowl, and scowl and scowl and scowl and scowl and pout. She never drives the plot or takes meaningful action on her own. It is a book that is shockingly regressive and backwards in regards to the way it writes its female lead, but we're supposed to see this literature as victory for diversity since the cover features a black girl with vitiligo, mean mug of the camera. That review will be on this channel soon, and it's going to be a long one, so I'm taking my time. But if you're curious, you can read the rough draft on my Substack. Other than test driving YouTube scripts, I also use Substack to openly and embarrassingly blog about my life, so if you're looking to deepen our parasocial relationship beyond the standard like and subscribe, that is the place to go. Anyway, back to Transformers 1. So other than Girlbot, I also had a big problem with the way that they wrote Megatron. He's voiced by a black man, and I couldn't shake the racial coding. A lot of this movie is Optimus Prime goading Megatron into doing shit that he does not want to do, and Megatron being like, man, I just want to work my 9 to 5, I don't want to get in trouble. Girlbot also has this trait of wanting to keep her head down and follow orders, but it feels a little more sinister with Optimus Prime and Megatron, since those two are supposed to be besties who have each other's back, so there's more of a reason for Megatron to get strung along by Optimus Prime's schemes. I know that this movie is about robots, so definitions of race and gender are inherently different from our human definitions, but hearing the white voice protagonist badgering his black best friend into doing shit that would get him in a whole lot of trouble made me cringe. Like, come on, dude. Maybe your black friend's got a little more on the line. Would it kill you to be a better ally? Listen and learn, asshole! So right now, the movie Am I Racist is playing alongside Transformers 1. That movie is basically Impractical Joker's DEI edition, so despite its title, it doesn't do the soul searching necessary to let you know if you, the audience member, are a racist. But luckily, Transformers 1 stepped up to answer that question. Because if you walk out of that theater from Transformers 1 and you nudge your fat wife and tell her, gee, that Megatron fella sure was a little too anxious about losing his job, I can confirm that you are a racist.